All right, what is going on, everybody? Long time no see. Pretty bare bones setup tonight. This is kind of how my truck has been. I haven't been camping in a while. Been pretty busy, a lot busier than expected this time of year. So we just got the bed, 4 containers, and water in here so far. So I've been just kind of like riding around for just like day to day. Didn't have any camping trips kind of on the radar. I'll go over more about that. But I did utilize, since I have so many subscribers now, I did utilize my subscribers. And basically I knew I was going to go camping tonight, and I asked you guys, my subscribers, where you would like to see me go. Would you like to see me go and like stealth camping in a parking lot? I was going to go to the YMCA, but you guys voted for State Park. So here I am at Martineck State Park in Denton, Maryland, which is not very far from my home, probably like 10-15 minutes max. So yeah, we are just going to come out here tonight, and I think I'm going to use this video to kind of like tell you guys about like who I am. Obviously you guys know I like this kind of stuff, and I've mentioned several times that I'm a photographer, but yeah, we're gonna just kind of go over like what I've got going on in my life. We're gonna take some little hikes. There's not really a ton to do at this park. I'm very familiar with this park, been coming here since I was a kid. So we're just gonna take some little hikes after we get set up, and I'm just gonna kind of go over what I got going on. There's been a lot of changes in my life recently, so we're gonna just kind of go over some of those. Some changes to the truck. I did take down, I've got double-sided Reflectix on here now, and it fits a lot better. I did have just kind of like this silver color Reflectix. It was silver on both sides, and I taped it with black duct tape to make it kind of stealth looking like it is now, because when it was just the silver, you could really see that there was Reflectix on the other side, and it really like shined through a lot. You probably can't really see it on the camera a whole lot. You can still kind of see, let's see if yeah, you can, I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can still kind of tell that there's something on the inside of these windows, but it is much more like matte black now. I think the duct tape that I was using, it was kind of like a gloss or like semi-gloss. So you can still kind of see that there was like some shininess going on through the window. Now, unless you get like right up on it or the sun's hitting it just right, you can't. So I like this a lot better, and it fits a lot better. The other stuff was coming down. I was just gonna leave it, honestly, even though it didn't look quite as good. But it started coming down because when I put the black duct tape on it, it like shrunk the material because of the tension, I guess, from the duct tape. So yeah, that all ended up falling down and yada, yada, yada. I also have a leak that I've discovered. It's been raining like its ass off for the past month here in Maryland. And so I've discovered that my truck does have a fairly decent leak. That back corner back there gets a pretty good amount of water in it. Luckily everything in here is like plastic, so, and I don't think it like, it just pools in that little corner. I think it's leaking from where the cap meets the bed. So I've got this little, I think they're called like double bubble truck cap insulators or something like that. But I've heard they work pretty good. I've got one, I just haven't installed it. I don't really have a way to lift my cap up off the truck. But now that I've discovered, so it wasn't really like a priority, but now that I've discovered I have a leak, I'm probably gonna try to get like me and my little brother or something to like lift it up, and my wife kind of like tape that around the bottom, and hopefully that'll fix it, because that's quick, cheap, and easy. If not, might have to look into some other options. Like I said, not a huge deal, but if it's raining hard for like a prolonged period of time, I don't really want to have water just like chilling in my truck, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna get everything moved into the back here, and then we're just gonna kind of go on some hikes. And this video is just gonna be, you know, we're gonna do some camping stuff, but this video is mainly gonna be just about like me kind of telling you guys who I am. I know the people that follow my social media, like obviously I post a lot, so you guys kind of like know who I am, and that I'm a photographer, and like what kind of photography and this, that, and the other. But I've got a couple other things that I've been working on, and like my photography, like as a business and as like the actual photos that I'm producing have changed quite a bit. So we'll go over all that today. I say all that, and hopefully I can get a little hike in here, because it looks like it might rain. I didn't think that was on the forecast. I'll have to check that again, but definitely looks like some rain clouds, so we may or may not be doing a hike. Probably what'll happen is I'll go on a hike and like I'll be real far out and it'll start pouring down. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so in addition to everything that I had in the back of the truck already, here's all the additionals that I'm bringing. I got my little heater and 2 of these little fuel containers. I think these are pretty much kicked out. So I probably don't have a lot of heat tonight, but shouldn't really need it. I think it's a low of like 39, which is like 6 o'clock in the morning, which is probably not too far before I'll be waking up anyway. So I don't really think we'll need heat. I know that sounds cold, but that thing is absolutely amazing. I think last time I used it, I think my last video was like 21 or 27 degrees or something like that. And I was sleeping in that thing and it was like 90 degrees or something like that inside the bag. So that thing's just really worth the money. I spent a lot of money on that thing and I was hoping it would be pretty badass, and I haven't been let down by it so far. And then we've got the Bluetti for power. I think haven't charged it in a while. Heard you're not supposed to keep these things like topped up all the time. So it's at 69%. Nice right now. And we don't really have anything to charge really. I charged one of these at home, so who knows how much battery they have. I don't have like an indicator or anything like that, but those things are pretty nice. I brought 2 of them just in case. And then I have a water container, and then I have another definitely water and not adult beverage container here for me to enjoy. I've removed my water, 5-gallon, like just hand washing water and putting fire out water stuff. Remove that so I have a little more space in here, and I'll just push all this stuff back in here. And then I got my little pea jug back there. Those things are great. Those little lemonade, Simply Lemonade. I don't know if it's like a 1/2 gallon or something like that, but they're really nice to use as pea jugs. Way of the road, boys. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I just got 1 blanket, and then I got a pillow back there, little fan. I doubt I'll really need or use that, but yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that we're working with for this trip. I don't even know if I'm gonna cook dinner tonight. Like, my wife and I just finished watching that show Alone, so I'm kind of feeling like, you know, I don't need to eat for 70 days. Or not that I would want to do that. I'm saying if they can do it for 70 days, I can probably skip a night, because, you know, we need to work on that. Oh my God, I'm going to Punta Cana in like a month, a little over a month, and the beach body ain't here this year. I was hoping it would be, but we just ain't got it going on this year, but that's okay. We're gonna be out there having fun anyway. So yeah, I think everything's pretty much where it needs to be at this point, and getting ready for this hike here soon. Little spooky experience that we had here the one time. It was myself, my wife, our oldest daughter. Our youngest daughter wasn't born yet, and a good friend of ours, Eric and Allie, and I believe just their one kid at the time. I'm not sure if their second kid had been born yet or not. But anyway, we were here, we were camping, you know, hanging out, whatever. We had the dogs with us. And I forget what time it was, but it was late. It was like 11, midnight, maybe something like that. And a black Expedition pulls in, like at the campsite right next to us. And dude hops out of his truck. It's like all blacked out Expedition. Dude hops out, and you know, he kind of looks a little strange, but just like tall, skinny dude. Didn't look super friendly or anything. But when he got out of the car, our dog, our border collie, started barking at him, and he just legit like looked over at our dog and at our site and just stood there like fists clenched, and was just like, for like a while, like an uncomfortable while, and was just staring at us like he was a serial killer or something. And we were like finally he stopped staring. He never said a word. Like, I think my wife Heather, I think she called over to him. She's like, hey, she's all bark, no bite, like no bite, she's friendly. He didn't say a word. He just kept staring, didn't break his stare, didn't loosen his fists up or anything. And we're like, okay, this guy's obviously mentally ill or on drugs or something. He was acting real strange, right? So finally, he never really like relaxed. He just kind of like kept his clenched body, and he got into the back seat of his Expedition and just disappeared. Guess he was just trying to get off the road and catch some sleep here at the park. The park was closed, so I'm not sure how he got in, because I think they used to lock the gates and everything, but I don't know if they don't do that anymore or what. But he got in somehow, and he did not seem like a happy camper. So we're like, you know, typically, you know, not that I'm some kind of fucking hard ass or anything like that, but typically I would have just stood my ground and been like, all right, like whatever, dude's over there, hopefully he just minds his business and it's all good. But you know, we had small kids to think about. We were in a tent, he was in a truck, so he seemed real hostile. So we packed up our stuff. Like, we didn't pack up our stuff, we left everything there. We packed up the necessities that we needed, and we got up out of there and went. My friend that we were with, he lives right down the street from here. We went back to his house and just continued the party there. But and we came back in the morning, he was gone, no sign he was ever there. So kind of strange, you know. He didn't really do anything like aggressive towards us. He was just acting real funny. And with small kids involved, we were like, what if this guy's a serial killer, you know? Or like tries to rob us in the middle of the night. Like, with the kids involved and all, this is before I had a weapon and all that kind of stuff. And even if I did, still, like, I'm not trying to have to use that, especially not with kids and all that kind of thing. So yeah, there's my spooky story. This little spot right here always reminds me of in the beginning of Resident Evil 7, when you're like walking through the woods before you find the house. I don't know why, but that's what this reminds me of. Not so much anymore, but just that first little part where you're coming in, there's like all these thick little trees and stuff. Looks like somebody came in here and chopped all this down. This was all tall last time, but it's like up on this little hill. I've done a couple photo shoots back here. Actually, the first photo shoot that I ever did was back here at this location. There's a tree that sounds like it is about to fall down. But yeah, it's a cool little location. One time I did a maternity session here, and this little like pond thing wasn't here, but neither was this trail. So probably a bad idea looking back, but we legit like trekked down this path that wasn't a path with a pregnant lady. So won't be doing that again now, knowing what I know. But yeah, it's an interesting photo shoot. Actually, it's one of the first photo shoots that I thought turned out really good. So here we are, kind of like walk through the woods. There's this little like beachy swamp type location. Really depends on the tide. Like right now there's a little bit of a beach here, but sometimes the entire beach is underwater. I'm surprised there's nobody back here. It was actually there's like a little point up top there. There's like rocks and stuff like that, and somebody had a tent. Somebody had a tent set up, and looks like they were camping there and fishing. There was 3 people down there fishing, and they had a tent set up, which I didn't think you were allowed to camp down there, but somebody did it anyway. So it's a cool little spot. Take a little break here. Good Lord, I took off this coat because I was like getting super hot and sweaty, and now that I'm down here by the water, it's cold, so I'm gonna put it back on real quick. Be right back. All right, so this is a beautiful little spot. As you can see, it's pretty windy today. Yeah, very pretty out here. So anyways, yeah, I think most of you guys know that I'm a photographer, and I will elaborate on that a little bit. So yeah, I worked at an electric utility. I held 3 different positions while I was there. I have a feeling it was about to be a 4th position. Shortly after I left, I think they're going to move me somewhere else, back into the member services department. But basically I worked in kind of a little bit everywhere there. Worked in engineering, which was like kind of like engineering slash IT type position, but it kind of like brought all the components of the company together, because you were dealing with like the distribution and everything as well. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So I worked at this electric company for 8 years. I was a manager there for like 2, and I was making good money. I think my like total like compensation package at the time that I left was like 15,000 a year, which is good. That really my salary wasn't all that. Like it was, I think it was like 73, 74, something like that. But they had great benefits. That's like the what was it? It was a pension plan, and they had a 401k, and then it just turned into like a 401k plan. But the 401k plan they had was badass. That's the sole reason I didn't want to leave it. They basically put like 15% of your salary with none of your money taken out of your paycheck. They put like 15% of your salary into your 401k, and then you could contribute on top of that. So that was pretty sweet, and that's the reason I didn't want to leave. But I did. I did photography part-time for, I don't know, maybe like 2 years or something like that. And then I got to the point where I really was not liking what I was doing at the electric company. Saw some things that I didn't like. And I just, overall, I kind of saw where the future was headed for me there. And like, I would have had a nice life if I would have stayed there. And it was all things considered, it was a decent company to work for and all that. Had its issues, had its people problems and all that kind of thing. But, everywhere does. But yeah, I got to the point where I knew, especially if I put full-time effort into my photography business, that I could be successful and I could make at least enough money to afford to leave in combination with my wife's income. She makes good money. She's a CPA. So she makes a lot more money now, but at the time that I decided to quit Chop Tank, we did our budget, and basically I had to make $39 a month in order for us to pay our bills. So that's like struggling through, just like I said, just paying our bills. But I was like, okay, if I can make $39 a month, it doesn't deserve to work out, right? So, I quit in like June. I think it was June 1st or July. I think it was June 1st of 2021. 2021, I think. It was either 2021 or 2022. Anyway, yeah, I've been coming up on doing it for 2 years full time this June. Whatever, doesn't matter. So first year I did very well financially, considering I had 6 months of Chop Tank income and 6 months of part-time photography income, and then the other 6 months was photography income. I did, fair. I wasn't disappointed with my income that first year, even without the Chop Tank money. I did okay, and then last year I did even better than that. Not quite what I thought I was going to do. Like the first 6 months, so I had like a crazy June last year. Last June was like a record high for me as far as like revenue in that month. So I was, and usually I don't do that good in June. So I was like, wow, like if I'm doing this in June, who knows what's going to happen in the fall, because that's typically like the busiest season. But then the rest of the year, I did well, but it wasn't basing it on like the financials from the previous year. Like I was on track to make like a lot of money, and that didn't happen. I ended up still making more than I did the first year. But not, like I said, not quite as much as I thought. So this year, I'm doing better at this point in the year than I was last year. So I don't really know that means anything. Because like, for example, it comes in waves, and I don't think you can really compare one year to the other, because especially since you get paid up front for certain stuff. Like when I book a wedding, I charge 50% of the wedding up front, and it's a considerable amount of money. So I could book 3 weddings in January, and on paper, it looks like I made a lot of money in January, even though I didn't do the work in January. So I'm kind of trying to get away from like looking at the finances, like where was I at 3 months into the year, this year compared to last year type thing. But I'm very busy right now compared to what I have been in years past. And I think it's a sign that I'm getting my name out there. My photos are getting better. My business is reaching more people, and I'm getting better at promoting it and all that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to see what this year holds, because I typically don't start getting busy until like the middle of April, and I pretty much started getting busy like the first or second week of March this year. I'm actually booked. I think I have like a couple slots left in May, but after that I'm booked into June. So really good sign. And the problem with photography for me, and maybe some of you aspiring photographers or people who are photographers can relate to this, but this is kind of like a warning for you people who are thinking about like being full-time photographers and quitting your jobs, is, for me anyway, I just started getting into like the studio stuff. So let's for right now, let's just assume that I don't do any studio photography at all. I just had my first studio photography gig, which was awesome, but I don't typically do that. So from like the end of December every year to like I said, usually it's like the middle of April, but for this year it was like the beginning or middle of March, I barely make any money. It's everybody's broke from the holidays. Everybody's, out of shape, pale if you want to be tan, if you can be tan. People typically want to be tan if they can for photos. So in the wintertime, you're not, unless you go to a tanning bed. There's just a lot of factors. I think that probably the biggest factor is it's cold outside. Most of my photography is in stuff like this, like outdoor, natural light settings. So yeah, people just aren't as active, for me anyway, in the wintertime. And I know a lot of photographers. I talk to a lot of photographers. I think that's pretty much true across the board. These ones that have studios and that do like newborns and stuff. I mean, kids are born like they're all times of the year. So in the wintertime for them, it's probably not quite as slow. But if you're outdoor natural light photographer, you can pretty much expect to not make much money unless you're way down the road and you've already got a bunch of clients and doing special winter shoots and things like that. You can pretty much count on not making much money for like 3 months out of the year. And some people even more. I talked to a photographer the other day that said she still isn't really booking anything for this year, which for me in the past has been typical. But just something to consider. If you're a photographer, that's probably going to affect you, and it can be scary. I know I get kind of like depressed in the winter months when that happens sometimes. I didn't really this year because I've been through it a couple years now, and I'm kind of like, it's just, it is what it is. That's the industry that I'm in. So I didn't get too bummed out about it this year, but I know last year I was like, oh my God, like, did I make the wrong decision? Leaving my job where I got paid the same amount every 2 weeks, and it was a good amount, and I got benefits and all that kind of stuff. Like, now I have to buy all my own equipment. If something breaks, I have to replace it. Get insurance, but still, you still have to replace it and pay the premiums if you replace things and yada, yada, yada. So yeah, it can be scary. So one of the changes in my business to try and remedy that going forward is, I'm going to get this off my face and show you guys some of this beautiful scenery. One of my like remedies to that for going forward is I have been toying with the idea, and I think I'm going to do it, of starting a marketing company. So one of the reasons I started my photography business was because I had just got my degree in business management with a minor in marketing. And I was like, okay, I like photography a lot. I enjoy it. It's fun. I know you can make money off of it. And now with this business degree, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if I can actually put some of these principles into like real life and practice them accurately and make use of them. So I did, and I think the photography business is going well. Like I said, aside from the winter months, which is slow. So now I want to kind of use this marketing knowledge that I have to start this marketing company, and I think that's something that hopefully anyway, not only will bring me more money on top of the photography business year round, but it can provide me with some sort of, hopefully, we'll see, stable income during these winter months when I'm not typically making very much money with photography. Now, I also did just make the investment in some studio equipment. I just did my first gig for that kind of thing, which was just headshots, which are cool because you don't really make much money like per person, but if you get a whole bunch of people lined up, you can make a pretty good amount of money. And typically a business is paying for it, and so they're a little more lenient, especially if they're a big business. They're a little more lenient with giving out money for that kind of stuff, especially the ones that value promoting their business and growing their business. A lot of businesses will say that they sell top-notch products and top-notch services, and they offer top-notch customer service and all this kind of stuff, but they don't want to spend top-notch money on real content. They want to do it with their cell phones, which I get. Like, it's free, anybody can do it. You know, it's not that hard to learn the basics of photography and videography, but people can tell it's taken on a cell phone. People can tell, you know, a $3,000 video from a $300 video from a free video, right? If you take it with your cell phone, you're still paying somebody's time to do it, I guess, if they're one of your employees. But yeah, so I think the people that are willing to invest in a business don't mind dishing out money for their business. They say that typically marketing is one of the highest expenses that a business has. So, you know, I'm coming in doing the headshots. I would like to expand upon that. I need to learn a little more about like lighting as it pertains to a studio and just get some more experience with it before I start doing like full on like indoor sessions. I had somebody the other day say something about that, like doing like a full like modeling session indoors, which I'm definitely not opposed to because I like doing those kind of shoots, but I just don't know enough quite yet. And I'm going to be pretty upfront with people about that. Like, I'm definitely down to experiment with it. Like, I wouldn't mind doing stuff for like a reduced rate just to, you know, practice and get my name out there. And that way, you know, if you're charging somebody like your full real deal price, they're expecting the same quality of like my outdoor photos. They would be expecting that with the studio. So then if they get something that's less than that, not that I think it would be, I don't know, right? So a lot of the same principles carry over, but I just want to make sure that I'm not like overcharging somebody for something that's not up to my standards, because, you know, one bad review or one bad word of mouth can really bring you down because it spreads. So anyway, there's two things that I'm going to try to do to remedy the downtime in the winter. Because honestly, if I could make the same amount of money that I make in like last June or like every October, November, I would be doing like, I'd be where I want to be at in life, and that's where I want to be. So I'm going to continue investing in myself. You know, I took a pretty expensive mentorship with one of, if not my favorite photographer, this past January, and I think that it really helped. If you go back and you look at my work, my photography work, prior to January last year, I think that my photos were good, but I think they're a lot better now since taking that mentorship, because that lady really taught me a lot, mainly as it applies to the editing process. You know, it's kind of funny, she's a great photographer. I'm not saying, oh, I'm just as good as she is or anything like that, but you look at people's raw photos sometimes, and or you look at their finished photos sometimes, and you're like, wow, like this person must be like the world's best photographer and all that. And then you look at the raw photos and you're like, okay, like these are good raw photos, but there's a lot involved in the editing process to get them to that final product. And I've said this, I've been saying this forever, but I would rather be a master of Photoshop than a master photographer in today's photography environment. I think that that's true. Because you can just do so much with Photoshop. You can really take a good photo and turn it into something that's like breathtaking. So she told me a lot as it pertains to the editing aspect of photography, and I'm thankful for that. I think it was totally worth the money, and it's a business write-off. Just like if you have a business and you hire me or another photographer, videographer to make content for you, it's a business write-off too. So anyway, that's just kind of like what's going on in my life right now. Oh, I sold my Corvette. No longer have that. I wanted to do some more camping videos in it. That was tough, man. That was a cool car. I bought it for like $17,500, sold it for $18,500. I'm not gonna act like I made money on it, because by the time you pay taxes and tags, and it had something go up on it that cost me like $700 to fix. So whatever. The way I look at it, I basically rented a Corvette for a year and a half for free, which, you know, not too bad. It was sad to see it go, But my wife and I are trying to get all of our debt paid off. We're probably going to be getting a new house in the next, hopefully like the next year, but I'd say like the next 1 to 3 years for sure. So we took the money from the Corvette and we're going to pay off our student loans with it, or use it as a down payment on a house. I'm not sure. Like, I wish I knew how soon we're going to find a house that like we really want. If it was going to be like a month from now, I'd say we're better off keeping the cash and just putting it down on the house. But if it's going to be a while, then hopefully, you know, we'll have even more money saved up by then, and it'd be better just to pay off for student loans so we don't have to pay the interest on it. So we'll see with that. But I no longer have the Corvette. So kind of sad about that, but I can always get another one. It was a base model. I really always wanted a wide body anyway. So the next one will be a wide body. We live on a dirt road, so it was always filthy. I could take it, go get it cleaned, and the next day, by the time I left my driveway, it was already filthy again. So that was kind of like one of the, I don't feel so bad about selling it type things running through my mind. But yeah, a lot of changes going on. Raising 2 kids. I think, I'm not sure if both of them have been in the videos. I think separately, maybe they have. But yeah, it's a very busy life, but a very fulfilling life. You know, I'm glad. I feel very blessed and fortunate to have all the things that I have. I have, you know, a beautiful wife who's awesome, and she's given me, you know, 2 wonderful kids. They're not always wonderful. They get on your last nerve sometimes, but I think anybody who's a parent will know what I mean. And you just love them, and they're the best. They get on your nerves once in a while, but it's totally worth it. So yeah, it's busy, but we're very blessed to have all the things that we do. We have a house, nobody's, you know, sick or anything like that. And there's a lot of bad and a lot of evil going on in this world right now, and it sucks to see that stuff. And I'm guilty of kind of sharing some of that stuff sometimes, because it makes you angry to see the things that are going on in this world. And more than anything, for me, it's not the things that I have to deal with. I honestly could care less about that, because I know who I am. I know where my beliefs stand. But there's a lot of things in this world that you worry about for your kids, and to have to see them grow up in this world that is always has been, but it's a very wicked, evil place sometimes. So want to try to focus going forward, like the rest of this year, just trying to be like a more positive person and seeing the good things in the world, because there are a lot of good things in the world, and there's a lot of really good things and memories and moments and times and just experiences that you're going to have in this life. And I don't want to just be, I don't think I'm a super negative person, but I definitely can be negative and think about the bad parts of life more than the good parts a lot of the time. So I want to focus on like trying to change it. My wife has really inspired me to be more like she is, and be more positive and try to see the good in people and the good in things and the good in the world, because there is a lot of it. You know, I think we get caught up on a lot of the bad and negative things. So that's my goal going forward, is to just try to, and I'm not saying it's going to change overnight or that I won't ever get into like negative moods or anything like that again, but I want to try to inch towards positivity every day, and hopefully make more videos like these for you guys as well, because I really do enjoy doing this. It's just, as you know, all the stuff that I've just said, it's a very busy life, and to fit something like this in that I do love and enjoy, but it's not making me any money. Maybe I'm too caught up on money. Maybe that's my problem. But to fit things like this in that are not, you know, I'm away from my wife right now. I'm away from my kids. It's not making me any money. But I do love like just enjoying nature. Here, I'll give you a little sample photography aesthetic. Little dirty water smashed up against a rock here. You know, just little moments like that are very important. And you know, all my brothers and sisters that didn't get to the egg first will never get to see that. So I should be quite thankful that I am the one that gets to see all these beautiful sights, experience all these beautiful things and memories and moments. So yeah, that's my little rant for the day, and just kind of letting you guys get to know me a little bit more. And yeah, now we're gonna go back to camping stuff. So let me know if you enjoy that kind of stuff, because you know, I don't really know if putting myself out there like that is something that you guys want to see on this channel or not, but I feel like it's good for you guys to know a little bit have a little bit deeper of a connection with me and know what's going on aside from just seeing me sleeping in the back of my truck all the time.